Insurance isn't one size fits all, and shopping for it shouldn't feel like squeezing into something that just doesn't fit. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they show you options that fit your budget. Enough hunting for discounts, trying to calculate rates, and tinkering with coverages. Maybe you're picking out your very first policy, or maybe you're just looking for something that works better for you and your family. Either way, they make it simple to see your options. No guesswork, no surprises. Ready to see how easy and fun shopping for car insurance can be? Visit Progressive.com and give the Name Your Price tool a try. Take the stress out of shopping and find coverage that fits your life, on your terms. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
I'm Andy Mills, and you're listening to Reflector. All right, Ethan, let us talk about gambling.
Let us.
And for our story today,
you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em.
when to hold 'em, when to fold 'em, and a dispatch from reporter Ethan Mannello on the fascinating new frontier where everyone is gambling on everything.
All right, Andy, I want to start by helping you imagine something.
Okay, my eyes are closed. I'm prepared to imagine.
So imagine you walk into a casino. It's windowless, big, tall ceilings, smells of stale cigarettes. You know, to one side, there are dinging, flashing slot machines. To the other, those green felt tables mobbed with people betting.
I can picture it.
So you're in there and you decide to walk up to one of these tables. And this is where things start to get a little strange, because there are no cards on the table. And as you watch these folks throw their chips down, you realize that they are betting on something far weirder than poker, blackjack, or craps. They are betting on if something will happen or not. Things like, will this May be the hottest May ever? Will Sony Pictures release K-pop Demon Hunters 2 before 2027? Will a human land on Mars before California starts high-speed rail?
Yeah, I got my money on Mars.
Will President Trump be photographed every day this week? Will Kim Kardashian pass the bar exam this year? They've only given her around the 10% chance, but I still believe in her.
Prove them wrong, Kim.
And as you walk from table to table, the bets just get more and more absurd.
Will Trump say transgender this week?
My administration, I signed an executive order to slash federal funding for any school that pushes transgender.
Yes! And whether you know it or not, we are all basically living in this casino every minute of every day of our lives now. Now, this endless casino and the ability to bet on all these different things.
Our main story tonight concerns prediction markets, the fast-growing platforms where you can bet on basically anything.
Is because of something that many people have become familiar with over the past couple months.
Prediction markets have exploded.
Prediction markets.
Millions of people flocking to prediction markets like Kalshi, PredictIt, and Polymarket.
Over the last 2 years, these markets have completely blown up. And as they have, they've just raised a bunch of questions. The main one being, what happens to the world when everything just becomes a wager? Let's start off by having you introduce yourself. You know, what's your name? And what title do you go by? Are you a trader, a gambler? Like, how do you describe it?
Yeah, my name's Joel. I go by prediction market trader online, mostly on Twitter, or PMT for short.
One of the guys who has turned this new reality into a job is this guy.
I'm 26. I was a CPA for a few years.
And I'm going to call him PMT because that's his handle.
I got into prediction markets in mid-2024, around the last election cycle, making a little bit of money on the side.
And he says these markets, they started out as a hobby for him.
Fast forward to a little over 6 months ago now, I started, trading prediction markets full-time and making content in the space.
And how much money are you making, or, how much have you made on these markets?
In the past year, I've made about $300K. And then for 2026, I've made almost $200K. So the start of this year has just been surreal.
So you did this interview back in April, meaning that if things continue as they are, this 26-year-old guy, he's going to make well over $500,000 this year.
Yeah.
God, that's pretty good.
And on top of that, Kalshi pays him some money on the side to stream and make content.
And I'm pretty small, you know what I mean? Compared, like I'm the technically 37th, by profit mentioned trader. So like I'm not even in the top 10.
And the bets he's making, Andy, they're on something called mention markets.
Mention markets are markets where you're basically trying to, predict what someone's going to say in a speech.
So here's how this works. If there's a political speech coming up or a sporting event with announcers, Polymarket or Kalshi will toss a bunch of words on the platform and make what they call a market.
Like, will Trump say 8 wars? Will Trump say ceasefire?
Maybe movie star.
I think this is our first lady. What do you think of our first lady? She's a movie star.
He often refers to Melania as a movie star.
I don't know. Do we call her first lady or a movie star? She has a big...
And if PMT thinks he will, he places his money on yes. And if Trump does, that's money in PMT's account.
And you're saying that he has turned that into this surprisingly pretty lucrative job.
Yes. And he really does spend a lot of his time focusing on Trump.
Because typically the highest volume and biggest markets relate to Trump. So my day is pretty dictated by, the White House schedule. My mornings are kind of prepping for the events later in the day. Sometimes it starts really early where Pete Hegseth, for whatever reason, loves giving his Epic Fury updates at 8 a.m. the last 2 months. So would try to wake up early for those.
We got a lot of people here. We got a lot of great people here. Thank you.
Last Thursday,
we're going to be talking about no tax on tips. We're also talking
Trump did a no tax on tips event in, I think, Nevada. My day looked like I woke up and for hours I was just doing research on this Nevada event.
He's expected to highlight a policy already in effect aimed at reducing taxes on tips.
Following every single news source that was giving out little tidbits.
But it's great to be back in a place I love, Las Vegas. Did a lot of business here. We had great success here.
So most days, PMT checks Trump's schedule. And if he's going to speak publicly, PMT tries to figure out what he might say, which, because it's Donald Trump, can be pretty unpredictable.
Right.
Or what markets would call volatile. Like in this speech that was supposed to be about no tax on tips, he randomly
school choice, which is a big deal,
brought up school choice.
At this moment, right now, we have more oil production than Russia and Saudi Arabia by far.
He talked about Russia and Saudi Arabia, maybe not surprisingly.
The lovely country of Iran.
He also mentioned Iran.
Lovely place.
He even somehow got to women's sports.
They want to have men playing in women's sports. Think of it, men playing in women's sports. That's got to be a 95
And if PMT had made a wager on him saying any of those words, he probably could have won a bunch of money.
His volatility is like a dream for these types of markets. And his volatility in speaking and frequency of speeches is a dream for mention markets.
So you're saying that because Donald Trump is so public and he's always giving interviews, always giving speeches, and because he's rather unpredictable, he is, for these mentions markets, like a weekly NCAA tournament, March Madness kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these mention market guys love him. They may not love his politics, but they love him.
It would not be the same had Kamala or Biden won. Now, that can be a bad thing for a lot of people in the sense of like, maybe they're like, I want a little less entertaining of news coming out. But for me, it's amazing.
Wow, I understand exactly why this feels so fun. I personally have never bet on like a sports team or anything like that, but after covering Donald Trump for 10 years, I kind of feel like I could win some money on this one. Not that I'm going to do it.
I like the confidence, Andy, but I'm not exactly sure if you realized how much work these guys are putting in and how good they actually are at this.
In terms of research, right, you have the baseline historical data, historical transcripts, like what has he said in the past?
Like, for example,
Trump will repeatedly say,
1 year ago, our country was dead. We were absolutely dead.
A year ago, we were a dead country. If he says that phrase, there's always a word, hottest.
Now, we're the hottest country anywhere in the world.
And that word will go to 99% in an instant before he said it, because everybody knows if Trump says a year ago we were a dead country, he's going to say now we're the hottest country. Or the other thing he can say is the king of Saudi Arabia told me this.
King of Saudi Arabia said to me when I was over there, sir, 1 year ago you were a dead country.
If he ever brings up the king of Saudi Arabia, he's about to say we're the hottest country in the world.
And now we've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. There's no country as high.
But noticing and knowing these sorts of patterns really only get you so far.
Where a lot of the edge really comes from is breaking events.
For example, a couple of weeks ago, Trump was about to give a sort of press event from the Oval Office, and one of the words you could wager on was ballroom. And the odds were that he wasn't going to say it.
At the time, there was a 30% chance of Trump saying ballroom because, why is he going to say it otherwise?
But then, right before the press event starts,
a new stop work order from a federal court on President Trump's passion project, the White House ballroom.
News broke that, a judge had ruled against the construction of the ballroom.
That judge said the president's actions conflict with federal law.
The president cannot build the ballroom without authorization from Congress, and for now, construction has to stop.
So immediately, I hammered thousands of dollars on him to say ballroom, knowing it's all he's going to talk about.
But you got to do things right. And you don't do them right, we shouldn't do them at all.
Come on.
No, it's basically...
Come on. Ballroom.
This is tape of PMT live streaming that press event, narrating over it.
I wrote it.
You have to hit ballroom here.
And as you hear, a couple of minutes in...
Yeah, please.
Thank you, President Trump. A judge just ordered you to stop construction of the ballroom.
Ballroom.
Planning to stop.
A reporter asks just what PMT wants to hear.
Come on.
For 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom.
Boom!
We're gonna have to find a ballroom, I believe, anywhere in the world. And he said we need to...
It's amazing to watch. I know that this wasn't your purpose in doing this report, but I'm telling you, you're like convincing me that I should do what PMT is doing. I
mean,
want it.
You keep saying that, but again, I'm not sure if you realize how good he really is.
Okay.
Like,
give me a harder one.
Yes.
I feel like I could have got that one. Give me a harder one.
Yeah, I'll give you one more, but this one will not be Trump. So a couple of months back,
there was a market for what would Jerome Powell say at some Fed board meeting. I can't remember exactly where he was giving the speech, but it was a long speech for Powell. I think he was slotted to speak for 30 to 60 minutes straight.
And on this day for this speech, the word in question was pardon. And as you might recall, around this time, Trump was issuing all of these pardons, and a lot of people were talking about them. But for guys like PMT,
knowing Powell, they're like, this is a very apolitical guy. He's not going to talk about Trump pardons.
He's not interested in getting into the political mud. So very few thought he was going to say it.
It was priced at 10% chance. So it was 10 to 1.
But PMT, he's like, let's dig a little deeper here. And as he's reading old transcripts, listening to old speeches, he notices that Powell...
He had coughed in I want to say it was 40 or 60% of the time.
And when he did, he almost always followed it by saying,
pardon me.
Pardon me.
Wow, so not political pardon or presidential pardon, just being polite.
Yeah, being a nice guy.
Good manners.
Yeah.
I think I bought only 500 shares just for the fun of it. And, the next day I was watching it live and...
Tightening of financial conditions at a time when the economy still appeared to be highly vulnerable. Our thinking was, pardon me, was informed...
Yes, let's go. That's pardon me locked. Powell coughed and went, pardon me.
And PMT cashes in.
Let's go. This is why you tune in to PMT. 500 shares. We just made $350.
Outside of purchases aimed specifically at market function.
That's kind of, in a way, how you'd go about finding an edge in these things. It seems really stupid sometimes, these markets, but if you really think about it, right, it's you have all these factors that you could, include, and it's who's going to use them the best, I guess.
Okay, that's very impressive. All right, my question to you, Ethan, is does he think of himself as a professional gambler? The equivalent of an Old West poker player or something like that?
Yeah, well, that question, whether PMT and others like him are or aren't gamblers, that is the question. That's the question at the heart of all of this. And do you want to try and predict what I'm going to say next?
Well, based on my research, aka looking at your note stock, I'm going to guess that you'll tell us after a short break.
Yeah, we will get to that after a short break. Stay with us.
Hello, everyone. This is Matt, co-founder here at Longview, where we report stories that are grounded in curiosity and context, not political bias. As we say, it's not the left view, not the right view, but the long view. One way we sustain this business is by advertising, but we are also listener-supported. And if you would like to go ad-free and support us at any dollar amount that you'd like, you can do that by clicking on the link in our show notes or by going to longviewinvestigations.com. Until then, here is a brief message from our sponsors. The Last Invention is brought to you by Quince. Every spring, I feel the same urge to clean things out. Closets, habits, routines. And with clothes, I keep coming back to the same idea. Fewer of them, but better quality. That's what I like about Quince. The materials feel elevated, and the cuts are clean, and the prices, they aren't insane. They make everyday staples using premium fabrics like 100% European linen and this incredibly soft flow knit fabric for their activewear. The kind of gear you end up wearing way beyond the gym. What surprised me most is the pricing. It's about 50 to 60% less than what you'd expect from comparable brands. And that's because Quince goes straight to the source, working directly with ethical factories and skipping the middlemen. So you're actually paying for the quality itself instead of the markup. My favorite piece these days is one of their blue chore jackets. It fits great, it's really comfortable, and I know it'll hold up even though I wear it all the time. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Just go to quince.com/reflector for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. Again, go to QUINCE.com/reflector.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? All right. Bring a date, your team, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.
Welcome back to Reflector. And again, here is Ethan Mannello on the question of whether or not these prediction markets should be understood as gambling.
So before we went to break, you asked me if PMT considers himself, a gambler.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get to that in a minute. But first, I think we should spend some time on how we got here, the history of gambling in this country. Because while it feels like it's everywhere now and everyone's betting on something.
Right, like you're watching a basketball game with your friends and it's at the DraftKings arena and there's an ad for FanDuel. And meanwhile, one of your buds is checking his Kalshi account to see if he's made anything in the mentions markets.
Right. The thing is that for, most of American history, it was basically illegal everywhere in the country.
Right. This is actually something that I know a little bit about, not just because I am an admitted American history nerd, but I learned way back in my Christian college days about how in the earliest incarnation of an American identity, like in the colonies days, there was this sense that one of the things that made America different from the Europeans was our Protestant, Calvinist commitment to hard work and this allergy to anything like idleness or chance. And so something like gambling, like placing, your fate in the hands of chance, was seen as not just immoral or sinful, but also deeply un-American.
Yeah, pretty much. But in 1931, things started to change. When Nevada legalized casino gambling, and seemingly overnight, suddenly, there were dozens of casinos starting to pop up, especially in the city of Las Vegas.
Right, the city of sin is born.
Yeah, but the thing is you couldn't just bet on any old thing you wanted to. You could only gamble inside a casino, and even then, you had to be betting on approved games like slots or craps or roulette.
Wow, so even in the city of sin, you're saying, they're still very strict on what you can and can't gamble your money on.
Yeah, it was heavily regulated. But in 1949, they opened things up a little bit and legalized sports betting.
Right, so you're saying that even in Las Vegas, it took a decade before I could bet on a baseball game or something.
Yes, exactly. But again, it was still only in one state, just in Nevada, nowhere else.
Amazing.
And it takes 3 more decades before any other states opened full-scale casinos. When New Jersey legalizes casino gambling in Atlantic City, gambling then comes to reservations and, Native American lands.
Right.
And from there, things really do pick up. More states are legalizing casino gambling. But again, this is a really slow process. And it was making sure to contain gambling into specific places and specific games.
Right. Actually, I remember in my home state of Illinois, there's this very long, very expensive, very litigious battle about could you put those video game slot machines in truck stops, and that was a whole years long campaign just to get that one kind of game into that location.
Exactly. That's a perfect encapsulation of these debates and why it moved very slowly. But then all that changed in the 2010s.
Delaware is the first state in the nation to offer a full slate of casino games, from poker to slots, blackjack, and roulette, to online gamblers within the state's borders.
So, 2013, Delaware declares these games of chance. You can play them on your phone or on your computer, gambling real money from wherever you want in the state. And it's kind of a landmark case, because now gambling is no longer bound to the 4 walls of a casino. And then in 2018, just 8 years ago,
the door and the books just opened for legal sports gambling.
The floodgates just ripped open.
Legal betting on baseball, football, basketball, and other sports.
The Supreme Court said if states want to legalize sports gambling, they can.
Federal law banned it, but today the U.S. Supreme Court struck down that law.
And across the country,
lawmakers have approved mobile sports betting in Arkansas. And
that's what states do.
Sports betting becomes legal in Colorado today.
Arizona officially becoming the latest state to make it legal.
Creating this patchwork of laws.
In Massachusetts.
Here in Indiana. Legal in Michigan.
In North Carolina.
Sports betting is now legal in Tennessee.
Essentially untethered from any kind of federal legislation.
It could bring in some big bucks. Big bucks. Big bucks. Big bucks.
All right, so after decades of it being, this litigious nightmare just to get a little slot machine added or a new game added to the casino or, a racetrack or betting on a basketball game on your phone or something, suddenly everything changes in the 2010s. Why? What was going on in that decade that led us to where we're at now?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, and it's basically that states were looking for ways to increase their revenue, especially after the 2008 financial crisis.
Right.
And they found, one really easy way to do it, which was to legalize gambling. And it worked.
Latest report from the Massachusetts Gaming Commission shows the Commonwealth collected over $9 million in taxes in the month of March.
It's become a multi-billion-dollar booming business for the state's economy.
The American Gaming Commission found that sports books, such as those offered by DraftKings and FanDuel, took in $150 billion worth of bets in 2024.
Since the 2018 ruling, Americans have wagered $600 billion on legal sports betting.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah,
that's so much money.
It's crazy. And states have taken in over $9 billion in tax dollars.
Right, that's a huge amount of money.
Right.
And I could see the ways in which if your neighboring state has said yes to this, and now they're making all these billions, it's almost like you're a fool to not get in on it.
Yeah, and that's how most states felt. Anyways, this is the new legal landscape that Kalshi steps into. In 2018, they start up, and this is, more technical than we are going to get into, but they basically say, we are a place that offers wagers, yes, but we're not like a casino. We're not even like online sports betting. And there are a couple good reasons for this, but a big one is there is no house. Unlike FanDuel or other apps like it, Kalshi doesn't make money when you lose. And because of that, they say we're more like eBay or an Etsy. We are a marketplace. We just allow transactions to occur and take a small fee when they do. And the CFTC, the Commodities and Futures Trading Commission, the federal agency responsible for regulating these kinds of markets, they agree. And so in 2020, this thing that to a lot of people looks, sounds, smells like gambling.
It does have a whiff of gambling about it.
You can smell it, right? Yeah. This thing is not only legal, but officially and federally at least, is not gambling. But to get back to the question that you asked a couple minutes ago, to PMT, this distinction doesn't really matter.
If someone were to tell me, oh, you're just a gambler, I don't view that as an insult, right? I don't really care. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm sitting here, oh, I'm a trader. I feel like it's not a bad word to me, I guess.
But there are some people in the trading and prediction market world who essentially think it's like a slur to be called the gambler.
Right, because you're saying that they would prefer us to think of them and call them traders, like commodities traders, and not have this mental image of a, professional riverboat gambler,
Do we call stock option trading or day trading gamblers?
Right.
No, we don't. Even though there's a lot of day traders who lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
And even PMT says that thinking of what he does as purely gambling isn't totally accurate.
People have different definitions of what gambling is. But if someone's definition is just that, oh, these markets are all chance, like it's obviously not. So that's where I would patently disagree. And I mean,
right. So PMT is making the case that we should think of him less like the, rolling the dice gambler and more like someone using their research to make predictions about, I don't know, the future value of a solar panel company. He is using his predictions to make his own version of, wagers on future value.
Yeah, and he would go even further than that. PMT argues that not only is he making a prediction on future value, but that there is value in predictions like his.
I think there is value that can be extracted from prediction markets when looking at them for odds in the sense of getting some type of unbiased forecast. For the average person, you don't even need to make a wager on these platforms. You can just use their odds to hopefully become more informed. I mean, I know I have become significantly more informed following all these markets closely, whether it's politics or things like that.
He says that in a world filled with noise, there's signal in these predictions. And this argument is also being made by a lot of the owners of these prediction markets and the largest proponents of them. Robin Hanson is one of them, someone who I know you've interviewed, Andy.
Yes, Robin Hanson, as well as his colleague Tyler Cowen. They're both at George Mason University. I find them both fascinating, brilliant people. And, he's been making the case for a long time that if you really want to know what people think, prediction markets are actually superior to something like traditional polling, especially this day and age.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. Polls require people to answer their phones or fill out online surveys, and I am a member of Gen Z. I do neither of those things, nor do many of my other Gen Zers.
Talking on the phone. It's such a good pastime. You guys are missing out.
Well, I'm good. I think I'm okay with the spam. I don't need solar panels on my house. I don't own one, and I may never.
This is true. Owning a home, talking on a landline. Two things Gen Z may never know.
Yeah. But, I mean, one example that people point to a lot is the 2024 election. Most of the major polling models favored Harris to win, not by much, but still favored her to win. While on prediction markets, where, remember, people are placing bets, so they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Right.
Trump was a pretty heavy favorite. And we all obviously know what happened.
Right. The prediction markets were right. The polling, for the millionth time, was wrong.
Yes. And this is what's often called wisdom of the crowd or wisdom of the crowds. Basically, the idea that a large, diverse, independent group of people can be superior at making predictions than a single expert or even a panel of experts, a polling model.
This is an academic concept.
Yes.
That goes back many years.
Yes, but now this academic concept is being tested in real time by these prediction markets and people like PMT who are making a living off of them.
Amazing.
And, I guess what I would call institutions are starting to buy into this idea too. CNN, CNBC, Fox News, all now have deals with Kalshi to display Kalshi's odds in their coverage.
Right, I saw during the awards season, one of the movie awards had the Kalshi partnership.
Yeah, the Golden Globes.
Right.
At the Golden Globes, yes. If you were watching on TV or if you were attending, you saw the poly market odds for who was going to win each award. Even Google Finance displays prediction market odds along with their traditional market data. And the promise here is that maybe these prediction markets can give not only companies, but institutions, governments, a better sense of the public's mood and expectations. And this could perhaps one day lead to better policy.
Well, so they're saying, like, even though it might look to you like they're just having fun and gambling, this actually could be a good, not just for the bank accounts of people like PMT, but for society as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, that's the pitch. However, there is like a kind of really major, glaring problem with these markets. What do you do about insider trading?
The idea that somebody somewhere is going to cheat.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen this becoming more intense in the world of sports.
Yeah, like every season in every sport, you see people saying this was rigged.
The NFL is scripted.
Yeah, that they don't trust the outcome, that it wasn't fair or above board. But now with Kalshi, we're seeing the same distrust jump from sports into the real world, sometimes for good reason. So take, for example, Nicolas Maduro.
This is a CBS News special report. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has been captured and flown out of the country.
So just days before the raid on his palace, a mysterious person opened a Poly Market account and put $33,000 on not only that the U.S. would begin military operations in Venezuela, but also that Maduro would be out as the president of Venezuela.
Right, that is a very specific bet on what was a pretty surprising, somewhat shocking event, not just for Maduro, but for people in the media, people in the world.
Yeah, I think when everyone woke up that morning after it happened, people were shocked. He ended up winning over $400,000. Now, many people thought, wow, this guy's really smart. He's really lucky. The U.S. had obviously been posturing towards Venezuela for a while, so maybe he just placed the bets perfectly and got lucky. No, not at all.
This morning, an American Special Forces soldier involved in the dramatic raid to capture Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro is under arrest.
It turns out that this guy was a U.S. soldier who was allegedly had been a part of the plans to do this raid on Maduro's house, and he completely knew it was going to happen.
Now, the Justice Department is charging Van Dyke with using classified information to place multiple wagers worth about $33,000.
And is that illegal? I guess is my question. Like, if I work at, let's say I work at Nike, and I know that Nike is about to make some big purchase of a startup company, and I go out and I make a bet on the prediction markets, is that against the law?
Yes, there's a high chance that is illegal. It's not really as simple as just calling it insider trading, because those laws were, developed for stocks and options, and the legal precedent for prediction markets is still developing. But the chances are you're going to be prosecuted for that, just like this guy with the Maduro raid.
Right. So the idea here is that even as we get to benefit from the wisdom of the crowds aspect of these prediction markets, that there's already evidence that it could undermine further and erode further our trust in, people in positions of power, people in positions of influence.
Yeah, exactly. Are they doing things because they believe it's the best thing for the country, or are they doing it because they know they can make a profit on a mentioned market?
Right. They've got to bet on Kalshi, and so they're going to try and put it forward so they can get a return.
Exactly. Is Donald Trump legitimately criticizing Keir Starmer? Or is he saying it because Don Jr.'s friend
got a sweet wager down?
Yeah, exactly. But some would argue that the problem is deeper than that. That, in fact, the mere possibility of insider trading that these markets create undermine public trust. To explain...
Well, for investigation, I will have to defer you to either the FBI or the Department of Justice.
A couple months back, there was this story that was circulating in a lot of news outlets that one of these prediction markets, I think it was Kalshi, had a wager on...
How long would Caroline Leavitt talk at her press briefing?
We knew the media would be covering January 6th quite a bit.
The question was, would she talk for more than 65 minutes? And as the speech went on, it was looking like yes. She got to 64 minutes, and then she got to 64 minutes and 15 seconds, and then she got to 64 minutes and 25 seconds.
So the price was almost at 99 that she was going to, last 30 more seconds.
But
somewhat abruptly,
at 64 minutes and 30 seconds.
I encourage everyone to take a look at the website. It's quite well done, and thank you all very much. It's great to be back with you.
She ends the press conference.
And left the room.
And everyone who had said she would go over this time period lost their money. And PMT decided to post the clip.
I posted it saying, Caroline Leavitt had a 98% chance of going over until she abruptly ended it. People on the no side made 50x in seconds.
But what happened next was something that he was not expecting.
Right at the end, she happened to rush her speech to get off the stage just in time.
At 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 30 seconds, she abruptly brought the whole thing to an end.
Leads some to believe that there was insider trading going on.
People just started quote tweeting it, and the post just went, it did 22 million on Twitter, and then people were saying, oh my gosh, is the White House insider trading their own market?
The idea being, essentially, someone had insider traded that press briefing. And when Caroline Leavitt realized she was getting close to that mark of 65 minutes, she left the stage. And while, sure, this looked and smells fishy, as PMT tells it, it wasn't. And he knows it wasn't, because he knows the guy who cashed in and made all the money.
My friend is the one who made the money because right when she looked like she was about to end, he bought all the no shares. And the market, by the way, did maybe $2,000 in volume. So my friend made like $1,000.
Nowhere near enough to justify, say, Don Jr. or someone else taking that kind of a risk.
It would be like completely absurd. They'd make like a few $100s.
I remember hearing about this on NPR, and I definitely got the impression that something nefarious had happened. And so even if, PMT, and I think you were claiming that like the evidence is there for the contrary, that maybe it's not as bad as some people feared, but when you mix that allegation in with what really happened in Venezuela, and then you expand this out across society, it does seem as if whatever good these prediction markets might do for society, we have to balance that against the trade-off that it is going to spread distrust in a bunch of different directions.
Yeah, that's the exact dilemma we have. And we've been dealing with now that these prediction markets have gotten so much more popular.
So that makes me think back to your mental image at the beginning of this, of this enormous casino that is more and more the world we're living in. I wonder if that's the wrong metaphor. I wonder if maybe the better metaphor is the lab. Like we are all now running this experiment in real time across our country, coast to coast.
I like that. It's a lab that could offer us great insights, but like any other lab dealing with a volatile chemical or agent, it risks something spilling out and having unintended consequences, possibly changing the world for the worst.
A lab or two has leaked.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
The new American dream is not get a job, be loyal, work hard, rise through the organization, and retire after a long, fruitful career. No. The new American dream is to log on to these prediction markets, place a bet on a completely asinine outcome in the world, something that you have a little bit of an edge or a little bit of insider trading, and get fucking rich.
Reflector is produced by Longview. This episode was reported by Ethan Mannello. Thanks, as always, for listening. And to learn more about Reflector, The Last Invention, and all the stories that we produce over here at Longview, just click on the link in our show notes or visit us at longviewinvestigations.com, where you can become a subscriber and support our journalism. See you soon.
Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, and convenient installation options. Go to TireRack.com to see tire test results, tire ratings, and consumer reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.